Hello again, whiskey friends. Thanks for joining everybody for another Tuesday discussion. Here on Tuesdays, we do like to give video responses to questions and comments we get either on YouTube, Instagram, or from our wonderful Patreon community. So if you have a question or comment or something that you would like us to handle in a video like this, hey, let us know. We will address the topic accordingly. Now, today's video is going to have a little bit of a different spin. I like doing these throughout the year anyway, in on my top 5, top 10 whiskeys of the year thus far, just to see how things are progressing. Brands are sliding in and out. But for this video as well, Father's Day is coming up. So I was getting questions about potential Father's Day gifts, and I decided to combine these two topics together. So if you are somebody that is in this video looking for potential Father's Day gifts, what I want you to do is keep an eye out on the brands that I'm highlighting, especially the brands in this particular list. You're probably going to come across some unique brands that you may not have seen before, but that could also mean you are finding great gifts that will impress the father on Father's Day. So thank you for joining today, whiskey friends. Let's kick off the show. All right. And the other great part about this, I didn't hit this up at the top, but 7 of these 10 bottles are below $100, ranging between $47 to $100. So you can also find things that potentially fit your price points as we go through this. So let's load up here. We're going to hit our first brand up. And I'll pull up the scores here and highlight these as we go. I'll also shine up the prices to expect so that you can keep an eye on this in your area. But one brand that is putting out really good single barrels right now is Copper and Cask. Thanks to Durrell, I have gotten my hands on a few of these so far over the last 6 months, 12 months now. This one is 7 years, and it is a single barrel. It's going to say it up here. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that they do finish some of their whiskeys as well. Sometimes it'll be a rum cast. Sometimes it'll be a toasted cast. I have had my best experience with the non-finished whiskeys. And particularly, I think the thing that maybe is helping these is that they're aging a little bit in Florida. And that might be bringing out some more flavors from the wood because they come across a little older than 7 years, just like you might see in some other bottles that are going to come up on this list too. But keep an eye out for Copper and Cask, single barrels. You're going to find them 6 years, 7 years old, if these are available in your area. Next on the list is another brand, pretty much new to me, I would say, this year. We're getting into Dark Arts Whiskey House here. And the one I have in my hands is a 7-year-old finished in sherry. They do have other ones finished in French oak. They got a rye finished in Amburana. And they have a general blend that is 6.5 years not finished that are shelfers. But there are also places that have single barrels and store picks of this. This one comes in typically at $99. If you're getting the bourbons around 7 years old, the price does go up. If you find one that's age stated 10 and a half years, you're going to be looking at a little bit more. I recommend sticking around the 7 years. The other thing that impresses me about this one is that it's a finished version of the MGP mash bill that they put in the highest rye, if you were familiar with that release from last year. So the mash bill is like 51% corn, thus is still a bourbon. But then the other 49% is rye and malted rye. And finished in sherry, oh man, I'm a sucker for that malted rye sherry combination. Next on the list, we have getting into everything above an 86. You'll also see this little certificate there, certified gold. That essentially means that it scored more 9s than it did 8s on our metric system. You know, it had enough 9s, maybe 10s to balance things out to get this 86 overall. And we're going to start out first with something similar to that copper and cask. This is the Nashville Barrel Company. Lots of good picks coming out of Nashville right now. I think I've gotten my hands on 3 or 4. This one is the standout from Barrels for Hope. It's a 7-year MGP again, deep dark color, absolutely delicious. And, I put this one at an 86. I think Darrell has this one at like a 91 or a 92. So he's even higher on me on this one. But keep an eye out for Nashville Barrel Company. And if you are looking for something for Father's Day, Nashville Barrel Company, you can go to their website and they'll ship to you direct. That is a way that you can get around some of what I'm describing. If you don't want to go to the store shelves and ask about these 10 brands, I'll try to highlight where I can find these things online. And NBC does sell some bottles directly. So go check out their website if you're interested there. Next one on the list. This one caught me by surprise. The best thing that I have gotten so far from this revival period of OKI. I shuddered on that one because the store Revival picked this one, and I didn't do that on purpose. But the OKI 11-year rye, there are a lot of really good 95.5 MGP ryes floating around the market right now. They are typically ranging in this $120 range, and they are just some of the best ryes that I have had. This one here really stuck out to me. If you are in the northern Kentucky area and you are familiar with Revival in Covington, really good pick that they got their hands on there. But also keep an eye out for 11-year ryes that have been dropping by any label right now. That is something that I got my eye on. River Roots, and you'll see another label pop up by the end of this list. But it is bottles like these that continually make me think it's the year of the rye. I am drinking some really good ryes these days. Next on the list, gonna keep it going with Nashville Barrel Company. Now, this one isn't a MGP bourbon. Nashville also has Kentucky bourbons as well and other unique things. But this one was a 6-year Kentucky bourbon. So once again, if you're checking out the Nashville Barrel Company website, if you're looking for Indiana bourbons, if you're looking for Kentucky bourbons, they have great bourbons underneath each of those states. And so something to explore on their website. This one's coming from Matt Porter, ADHD Whiskey. Oh my gosh, this was a good pick. Now we're getting into the top 5. That's how stiff the competition is, that those 5 bottles aren't even in the top 5 anymore. Next one, this is my sleeper hit of the year so far. Holy cow. We are talking about a 16-year American whiskey coming from Bull Run. That essentially means it's a light whiskey. Think of it as a corn whiskey, predominantly corn mash bill, aged in a used barrel for most of its life. And this one was finished for another year in Pinot Noir casks. And it was also picked by, Trev, David, and Kira there. So really, really impressed with these Bull Runs in general. Bull Run and Obtainium, I always keep an eye out for year after year because I keep hearing rumors that these older ones will disappear. They haven't disappeared yet, and I'm glad somebody's getting their hands on them and able to do these picks too. So this is another one that you can buy online. Look up thewhiskeychannel.com. Getting into number 4. This one here, oh my gosh, another one that's just defining my year. I've gone through quite a few different single barrels. People have been sending me samples as I get to know Middle West. Get to go help out on a pick here in a couple of weeks. But we are talking about the Middle West Pumpernickel Rye Cask Strength single barrels. So you will find some on store shelves, particularly if you're in Ohio, that are 99 proof, maybe finished in port and other things. I'm specifically talking about the Cask Strength picks. Once again, you can find these online, places like Sharepour, Seelbach. But for this one came out of a local group in Columbus, and here it is, number 4 on my list. Did not expect to have something from Columbus, Ohio in my top 4. It is the first time that it has ever happened. So happy to see where Middle West is going. And I'm excited to continue to explore them from this point on because every single barrel I've gotten to try has its own unique qualities. Now we're getting into the top three, and this is the first time in my top three something from Columbus, Ohio has appeared on my list. Now we're getting into the Whiskey War Double Double. You can find these online. For the most part, Ohio is going to be your best bet to find these. So go on ohlq.com, see if any of these are still available. They'll give you the map and show you what stores. But I've also seen them on Seelbach. This is a blend of whiskeys, ryes and bourbons coming out of MGP that they then finish twice in a new oak barrel. And it gives it such a rich, deep texture. And then on top of that, the rye lends itself so many unique notes. I tend to get tropical notes like mango on this, but then at the very end, it finishes like a bourbon. So it starts like a rye, finishes like a bourbon. It's got that double oaked quality to it that gives it that creamy feel and the marshmallow and all that kind of stuff. Oh gosh, it is decadent. Love this pour. I do have a backup. I know this one's starting to get low. Last two bottles on the list here. Next up, this one's going to be the priciest one of the list at $200, but we have the Forgate Kelvin Collaboration 6. Of all the ones that I mentioned so far, this is also the best one that pairs with a cigar if you're looking for a Father's Day gift for somebody that smokes cigars as well. You can find this one online still. I'm pretty sure as of writing, Seelbach would be your best bet. But this one gave it an 89 out of 100. One of the upper tier of the Kelvin series, too. I think this is probably the best of the Kelvin series since Kelvin 2 back in, 2019, 2020. Great new release from Forgate and another whiskey that I will be cherishing over the course of, the next year. But in general, this is what I'm going to be nursing on. I won't get into it very often because it is a very special pour. Finished in sherry and rum casks as well. So two different things on this list finished in sherry. I am a sucker for sherry. So last bottle, thanks for sticking with me throughout this list, everybody. But number one, huge surprise for me, but we're getting back into those MGP ryes that I talked about with the OKI. This one came out of Traverse City, was just 1 month shy of being 11 years old. So I said it was 10 years old on the screen. Once again, $120. That is the range that I am seeing these fall in some groups and online. But this one in particular was just crazy good. So I've got two different MGP ryes right now that are 11 years old, one at an 87, this one at a 91, both in my top 5, essentially. It's just great rye whiskeys floating around right now, and some of the best deals as well, because I think maybe so much just hit the market that these prices are also hanging low and people aren't bumping it up to 200, 250 like they were just 2 years ago. They're keeping the prices tight. We're sticking closer to maybe $10 per year. I can deal with that, especially when something is this delicious. So that is my top 10 of the year so far. Lots of good pours on there. And once again, you don't have to break your budget on these. 7 of the 10 pours were lower than $100, with the lowest one being $47. So it isn't all about price. It's about finding great whiskey and sharing it. So hopefully this inspired you to get a good Father's Day gift as well. And I'll see you on the next Tuesday discussion. Goodbye, everybody.